Good
Good afternoon.
morning, madam. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you all for being here. If you can hear me clearly, please send me a message. If for those of you who have their microphones off, and thank you very much for being here. So, as promised, we have a revision class, and the issue is, I hope all of you have completed your readings by now. Have you? I need answers from you, ladies and gentlemen. So please tell me if you have completed your readings and what are the difficulties you're having. If you're having no difficulties, let me know. Okay, good. As this is a revision session, do you have any questions about your assignments that I have marked and given back? Okay, this is much better. I can hear dogs barking in the background. So all of you can hear me. I think many of you have your mics on. For those of you who don't, I think there could be a problem with the mic. So, if you have TV or radio playing in the background, please, there's a request just to lower the volume. Otherwise, it will interfere with what we're discussing here. So there is a question about, just a minute, please. I'll just close this door. Otherwise, there could be some noise in my background. Please give me one moment. Thank you. Okay. So there was a, what do you want to know about critical analysis? please tell me, because I don't know what are your queries or doubts about it. So if you cannot, if you don't have a mic, please just type the question or type your queries and I shall answer them. All of you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Oui.
Yes, madam.
Okay, for those of you who have your mics on, I think you can hear me. What about those who don't have their mics on? Can you hear me? There's Ashna, Chukmeshwari, David, Imtiaz, Emma, Diksha, Elena, Marie-Lilette. Can you hear me? What are your queries on critical analysis? What do you want to know exactly? Please tell me. Okay, if there's interference when mic is on, like I say, please put your TV and your radios in a lower volume, or please put it off for a while at least. So tell me, I'm here to answer your questions, my friends. What queries do you have? What questions, doubts, or anything? I have given you all the notes and I have given you the guideline how to revise for your exams.
Bonsoir madame, c'est Kéma. En fait, j'ai une question où il y a elaborate on 3 problems encountered while assessing a community-based program. Je ne comprends pas comment répondre, par exemple, à une question comme ça.
Okay, so could you please type the question because your mic is not very clear. Elaborate on, what was it? 3 problems encountered while...
What is it? It was one of the questions that came up, I think, in the...
Okay, elaborate on at least. Okay, I think I got the question here, right? So let's talk about this. Elaborate on at least 3 problems encountered while assessing a community-based program. Okay, for me, this is a pretty straightforward question because it doesn't require any discussions, analysis, or anything extra. The question starts with, like I say, when you read a question, look at the keywords, the directive words, okay? Here it is asking you to elaborate. Elaborate means you talk only about what's being asked. 3 problems when you're assessing a community-based program. So like I say, this question is very specific, like all my questions. It pertains to only community assessment and interventions. So when I'm assessing a community, what are 3 problems I might have? That's all they're asking you, and explain all that. Who can tell me 3 problems encountered while assessing a community? It's all in your notes that I gave you, the handouts, the lecture notes. So please tell me. First problem. Yes, resource constraints. See, the word community itself tells you. What have we learned about community in our lecture? We have learned that a community is a very informal setting, right? It can arise out of a need, and it can arise because of a crisis situation as well. So once I have understood why a community group forms itself, it is easy to know what are the problems that can be encountered. So when I'm assessing a community, what are the 3 main problems that can be? First of all, It has no structure, so I don't know how to start an assessment. It has no defined leadership. Okay, everybody can be a leader, just like everybody cannot be a leader. It has no set goals. Okay, it may arise because of a need in your neighborhood, but it doesn't have any specific goals for a long term. Okay, I've already given you 3 problems. So you just jot down these notes and start elaborating on them. How can you write enough for half an hour on this question is by using an example, my friends. Take the example of a community-based program. For example, in your neighborhood, there could be a problem of drugs amongst youngsters. There could be a problem of drainage when there is torrential rain. It affects everybody. There could be a problem of stray dogs, for example. Okay? There could be a problem of people not being disciplined. They throw litter everywhere on the road. Or there could be a problem of cyclone, for example, or a development. Let's say there's a new supermarket that's going to be opened in the community and nobody's happy about it. Okay? So how do you tackle this type of problem? Who takes the leadership? First of all, what are you trying to achieve exactly? Do you have a specific aim in mind? Sometimes no. An NGO, for example, okay, if they need funding, who's going to contribute for that? Participation of the community, like Emma has said here, everybody wants to participate, so everybody's a leader. But in the end, everybody is only looking at their own interest in it. It is in their community, that's why they're interested. But what about the road next door, the next road? What if their problems are still the same, and in the next torrential rain, all the water from there flows into your area? What happens then? Vous comprenez? Quand vous prenez un exemple, ça devient plus facile de répondre aux questions. OK? Comprenez ça bien, les amis. Because all of us here in Mauritius live in a community. Nous tous, nous avons une neighborhood, nous avons une communauté. Comme j'ai bien dit, make it very clear in your head that community is not communauté like French. It is not a religious community. Okay? Community is your living area, your neighborhood. Okay? Et la question vous dit elaborate, alors prends un problème raconté qui n'a pas vu dans la dent, qui va contrainte nous gagner, qui va resource constraints, financial constraints, leadership problems, no long-term thinking, authorities don't know where to start, where to stop. No? All of us have encountered this type of issues at some time or the other. Vous avez compris comment répondre à la question? Have you had a look at the past examination papers? Have you tried to see how the questions are set? And if you can attempt Yeah, answers can be biased, like Divina just said, because everybody's looking at their own interest, okay? Nobody lives in the interest of the community here. Vous ne vivez pas pour vos voisins. Vous vivez pour vous-même, votre famille, your immediate family, and so on and so forth. To come back to my question, have you had a look at the past examination papers and how the questions are set? Okay. Devina Guljar here has... Je vais répondre à votre question, Devina. Please answer my questions first. Have you had a look at the past exam papers? Yes or no? Tell me. S'il vous plaît, dites-moi. J'ai besoin de savoir. Okay. For those of you who are answering yes, good. Can you tackle them? Bon, personne ne me répond. Ça le fait, hein? Let me tackle this question of Divina here. What examples I can give if I have to critically analyze for intervention at different levels of functioning of an organization? That is crucial for proper assessment. First of all, this question is asking about organizational functioning. So like we have seen in the lectures, organizations can be of two types, right? Social organizations and profit-making organizations. So I take one example of an organization that I knew well. Those of you who work in ministries, they are social organizations. And those of you who work for NGOs as well. Those of you who work for the private sector here, they're all profit-making organizations. Okay? The question is asking you, how do you critically analyze for intervention at different levels of functioning? So first of all, what are the different levels of functioning? If it's a large organization, you have a lot of different departments. You have coordination, you have correlation, you have teamwork, you have communication. These are the different levels of functioning. Now, if I have to intervene at different levels of functioning in an organization, right? What are the things I need to consider? What are the factors I need to consider? Let's take the example of an organization, any type, okay, whether it's social or profit-making. What are the different departments do we have in a large organization, for instance? We have the communications department, which needs to communicate all important points on time. We have the IT department that needs to be always here so that when I'm working with my laptop, so I'm working off-site or on-site or whatever, I have access to whatever I need to. You have the human resource department that needs to tell people everything about what they need to know. If you're working on a Saturday, you're not in your office, you're somewhere in Rivière-du-Rempart. You need to have your laptop, you need to have your cell phone. You need to know, okay, if I go there and I work, will they give me Monday off? Okay? Or will they pay me overtime? You have the funding requires, like somebody said, finance, HR, marketing. Yes, marketing is important for profit-making organization. Now, all these different aspects of getting to an organization to function requires intervention at a certain time. Take the example of a project and explain to it. What do I have to critically analyze in it? Firstly, the size of the organization, the people working in it, the constraints that I meet while trying to get my job done. If all the departments are interdependent, Everybody needs to do their job on time so that the organization, the project is successfully achieved. If you don't have enough staff, what happens then? If you have, sometimes it might happen that somebody suddenly falls sick or cannot come to work. So how do I find a replacement? How do I reorganize my team so that my work doesn't suffer? Okay, you have, this is what I mean by critically organized. What I mean by this is, when we say a critical analysis is not only talking about problems, but talking about what is already going well in the organization and what can be improved in what is going well. Okay, let me take another example. Today we were all eagerly awaiting the budget of the Minister of Finance. Okay, the Minister of Finance has elaborated on some measures, a lot of measures that needs to be done to the population. Let's say, for example, the government is giving incentives to people for, I'll take a fictitious example, okay? The government decided to give a budget to households for managing waste, for example, not to create pollution. You have household waste, you have your waste in your garden, you have waste around in your area, okay? Now, the Ministry of Environment, for example, they are responsible for it. They're telling you, okay, we're giving you incentives. We'll pay you if you manage to recycle your waste, or if you don't create pollution. Okay, you get an allowance of 500 rupees per household not to do that. So what do I do? So what does the Ministry of Environment require for that? It's a decision that has been taken by the main ministry. Money needs to be given, incentives need to be given. So the Ministry of Environment needs to put up a whole system in place to be able to pass it down to each and every individual household. They can tell you, okay, you can contact the municipality, we'll create a department there. And you can go and ask them, how do I recycle my kitchen waste, for example? How do I create compost out of it? Or even if I've created it, what do I do with it now? Because I don't want to plant. Can I go and resell it, or can I go and deposit it somewhere for planters to make use of it? Okay. Now, if I manage to successfully reduce my waste, my plastic use or whatever, how will I get the 500 rupees? How do I prove to you? So the ministry is concerned, need to put up a whole system in place to be able, and they need the different departments for it, to set up the project and get it going and communicate it to the people so that we also are aware, okay, I have this problem, this is what I should do. Or this is working well, now what do I do with it? Or if they already have a setup like that in their organization, but it's not being used or it's underutilized, so now it's time to revive it. This is what I call a critical analysis. And then I can add in my discussion by saying, how long will it take me to successfully implement this before I can see the results? Is it a short term? Is it long term? Is it very long term? Non? Quand on dit analyser avec l'esprit critique, qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Critique ne veut pas dire comme on dit que le critiquer dire du mal. Critique veut dire voir la viabilité du projet, voir la viabilité de l'organisation. Est-ce que ça va fonctionner? Est-ce que j'ai assez de gens? Si j'ai déjà ces gens-là en place, comment je vais les motiver pour travailler en plus? Comment je vais aller communiquer ça à les gens comme ça? Tout le monde comprend la même chose. Benefits of... Qu'est-ce que vous avez écrit là? Benefits of employees as per communication environment, effectiveness. Yes. You have used a very important word here, Divina. Right in the end, I have to see how, in my conclusion, how effective I have been efficient in getting the project up, running and going, but how effective is it? I need to monitor it afterwards. So all my discussion will let me understand whether I can monitor this project or not. Ou bien c'est bien difficile, on ne peut pas, on laisse tomber. No? Does anyone have a different opinion or a different way of answering this question? Please share it with the class. It would be interesting to have another point of view. I encourage divergent thinking, okay? The more different ideas you have, the more critical you are, the more resourceful you are about your studies, the better it is. And people who actually go the extra mile to do that, they get extra marks. They are the ones who pass with very flying colors, because I love people who do extra research and tell me about a different way of doing things without going out of context, of course. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? Can you talk about timely intervention during project implementation? Okay. There's a question here about timely intervention of a project. Here, the question is very specific. It's asking you about a project, right? So take the example of a small project that you have done yourself, or your office has done, or maybe your family, your friends, or the group that you belong to, okay? The question is asking you about timely interventions. So discuss on the importance of what happens, discuss on the importance of, excuse me, why is it important to do a timely intervention? What happens if I don't do a timely intervention in a project? A project is specific, time-bound, and limited in its approach. It is not something indefinite that is going to go on and on and on. Let's say, for example, you have to build your house. Okay, ça va pas vous prendre 10 ans de construire votre maison. Okay, I have given the example of buying a car, for example. Okay, let's say we have to buy a car. All of us have maybe bought one or have been part of buying one. Okay, un exemple bien simple. Un projet, ça nous abstient le tout. How do I apply timely intervention to it? First of all, I've got to do all my research so that I know I get it done on time. You have to know your budget. You have to know what type of car you need and what is going to suit you for your needs. And how you're going to get the money. If you have it already, okay. If you've got to go and apply for a loan, leasing, blah, 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 you have to know. And then you have to go and look around for the car. If it's available right now, good. Mais si concessionnaire dit, mais non, dans 3 mois, 4 mois, qui vous gagnez le tout là. Au pays, c'est là, dans 3 mois, vous gagnez. So, what I mean by timely intervention, the importance of a timely intervention is you are specific. It's because of its time constraints. I need to know, when do I take the loan? How do I manage my money? When do I pay for it? Or if there are other people involved in it, do I have to get a mechanic to come and check the car and everything before buying? I don't just go blindly in a showroom unless you're a multimillionaire or billionaire. I just go into a showroom and I pick up a car and then I come. I sign any paper and then I come. Ça aussi c'est possible, mais si vous êtes très très riche. Okay, let's say you have to build your house. What happens if you don't do a timely intervention then? You have to monitor it maybe on a daily or weekly basis because other people are doing the job for you. When should you interfere? When should you not interfere? How are you going to manage your budget? What are you going to put inside the house so that it's to your convenience? That's what I mean by intervene in a timely fashion for when you're implementing the project. You finish it on time, you are well within your budget, maybe by a little bit extra, you might go over and above, okay, but not by 2, 3, 5 times or 10 times extra. You can't do that because you don't have the resource for it. You don't have the time for it, okay? You have to organize a marriage or a party or a very big party or whatever. You have to get all your resources in place so that it is done on the specific date desired. Well, lose interest. You can lose interest in a project, but then why would you want to lose interest? Then you don't do it at all. If you're not interested in a project, you don't do it at all. Learn the importance of starting a project and finishing it, no matter how hard or arduous it is. Just like you decided to finish you decided to undertake studies for BSc Honors. Okay, it's a big project that you decided for yourselves, my friends. You have started it, now you need to complete it. Et c'est pas après 1 an, 2 ans, 3 ans que vous dites, aïe, quand prêt pour finir, aïe, mon give up, mon plein, mon n'est plus envie. But you have reached so far, so why not complete it? You should not start it in the first place if you're not interested. When do I need to intervene timely for my studies? It's a project that I have. I've already implemented it. I've done my registration. Courses are going to start next week. Bien beau. Now, what are the timely interventions? I need to know how to organize my life so that I am well within time for all my subjects. I write my exams, I give my assignments, and in my last year, I write my dissertation. Okay? The question is very much straightforward. It tells you timely interventions. Why do I need to be specific about my time? Because I have constraints around me. Any other questions? Critically discuss the importance of what? Ça fait critical. La bien fatigue, vous êtes me trouver, hein? Pourquoi? Okay. We have 2 types of questions that we can answer. 2 types of questions, basically, that we can answer about critical analysis. First, it's critically analyze, and then it's critically discuss. OK? Vous avez déjà vu des questions comme ça. C'est pas nouveau pour vous. Implementation of results after report on assessment is given. Attendez, je vais venir là-dessus. What is the difference between critically analyze and critically discuss? On a vu une question sur critical analysis. Dites-moi les amis, I am here to discuss questions with you. Vous avez déjà trouvé une question comme ça. Rien de nouveau. Tell me, please. Don't wait for me to give you all the answers. And please don't remain quiet. It becomes very boring for me as well. I'm encouraging you to talk and discuss about your studies. Alors, critically discuss is about discussing the weakness and strength, okay? And critically analyze, discuss advantages and disadvantages. You're talking about everything here. Let's get it straight. One says analyze, one says discuss, and both of it is critical, okay? When I analyze, I give a lot of, I look at the problems, what is working well, what is not working well, and what can we do better about it, okay? When I discuss critically, I talk about, like someone just said, I talk about the advantages, disadvantages, what can we do better about it again, okay? Both of it has got a critical approach. Comprenez la différence entre analyser et discuter là? Analyser, for analysis, I have to go much more in depth of the question. I look at all aspects of the problem. I look at all aspects of the project, and then I analyze what is going on well, what is not going on well, and I'm critical about it. Means I provide solutions, suggestions for improvement, or I encourage what can be changed or what cannot be changed. When I'm discussing critically, c'est-à-dire, I am just talking about, this is working well, this is my point of view, this is not working so well. J'ai pas besoin d'aller en profondeur de la question quand je discute. I don't have to look at all aspects of the project. I just have to look at it from a broader perspective. Okay?
Yes, madam. It's okay.
Okay, good. Alors, there's a question here, monitoring of formal and informal groups. Okay. I think, let me answer the first question of David first. I think David's question is pretty straightforward. Monitoring of formal and informal groups. First of all, I start giving by monitoring what? Depends on what the question is asking you. Okay. What is the monitoring of formal and informal groups? First, I have to know what I mean by formal groups. They are very well defined. They have a project to set in place. They have a time constraint. They have a budget. They have a specific plan, predetermined plan at the beginning. They have their outcomes and what they expect out of it, out of the project. Okay, now how do I monitor? I take each and every aspect that I have, my objectives in the plan, what I want to achieve, and then I monitor that. Is it being done on time? Does it need to be changed? And so on. About an informal group, that when it becomes a bit more dicey, like I explained at the beginning, a community is an informal group. How do I monitor it? I have to know what I'm trying to achieve in a broader perspective because there's no predetermined plan here. I don't know what is going to be the outcome because I have to start doing the work to know. I don't know what repercussions it could be. There could be about the project. Okay? So you have to explain about the aspects of how I can monitor a formal group more easily than an informal group. And what is going to be the outcomes of the monitoring? C'est-à-dire, mon moniteur, tout à fait, projet terminé, nous ne réussi ça qui nous types à faire, bien bon. But now, has it been effective? Do we need to replicate it? Is it a one-off project? Do I need to have more resources for the next time? What did I learn out of it? What has been the impact of the project? Are people okay with it, or there are still some other things needed for the future? Okay, which we haven't taken into account while completing the project. Okay, David, c'est okay avec vous? Okay, let us take Devika's question. Critically discuss importance of implementation of results of the report on assessment is given. Right. Ça, c'est une question que je crois c'est pris dans un past papers. So here again, I already spoke about critically discuss, means I have to look at the broader perspective. Et la question même vous dit, the importance of implementing results. So here you have to discuss what happens when I implement the results of an assessment report. I've done an assessment. There is the findings of the assessment are there. Now, if I don't implement it, what are going to be the consequences? Okay? Or should I implement only part of it or full of it, or the whole suggestions that we have for improvements? And you have to, you can talk a little bit, when you're critically discussing, you can talk a little bit about the impact of the assessment and impact of the implementation. Impact will say, how many people will it affect? How many people will it benefit? Can we do it on a larger scale because many people need it? Of course, there's a question here, can we use examples here? Examples can be used for every question, my dear friends, because examples help you answer a question better. You can start answering your question by using an example. Let's say there's part of a lecture that you haven't revised too well, or you don't know, you don't memorize too well, no problem. But if you don't have a choice in the exams, you have to answer that question, what happens then? You take an example, and you will get your marks if you manage to explain. You can use examples for every question, as long as it's relevant to the question. If I'm talking about institutions, don't give me an example of a social organization or I don't know, of a profit-making organization or a community, okay? Talk only about institution. Take it. Essayez de vous rappeler qui nous supposait l'institution. Mais laisse-moi prendre un exemple, moi c'est répondre à cette question-là. Ça va être plus facile pour vous aussi. Vous n'allez pas perdre vos points si vous faites ça. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions, please? Let me take an example. Today, like I mentioned earlier on, there has been the budget. Everybody was eagerly waiting for it. Nous pouvons avoir plus de travail, nous pouvons casse, prix pétrole tout baisser, patati, patata. Il y a eu beaucoup de discussions autour du budget, pas sur le budget même. So now that the budget is over, what are you all going to do? You're going to read the newspapers, or you're going to take it and read and critically analyze it. Each and every, all of us have done it at some point or the other. Each and every aspect that is relevant to you, your organization. Combien de travail en plus pour dans mon bureau là? Si il paie de moi 500 roupies augmentation, on me service à 500 roupies là. Que de prix baisser? Que de pour couper dans mon budget ou bien que de pour garder dépenser en plus? Don't we all do it? We all do it at some point or the other. He's giving money. If I have young children, he's giving money to children. C'est pas allowance. J'ai entendu des choses comme ça. J'ai pas lu encore là. Comment ça peut affecter moi? Qui impact ça pour dans mon budget tous les mois ou bien après 6 mois? Ou si vous payez l'argent qui n'est pas besoin, mais qui est capable de faire avec ça? N'est-ce pas? All of us are going to do it. So what you're doing here is you're critically analyzing the budget in depth, and you are going to see how it's going to impact on your personal lives. Now, on a month-to-month basis, you're going to monitor how money received or money paid by yourself is going to be used. C'est ça le monitoring. Si je paye 5 000 roupies en plus, bien bon, dans mon poste, est-ce qu'il me dépense tout, moi pas dépense tout, mon bizali, moi pas bizali. Enfin, ça nous pas dire nous pas bizarre casse tout le temps nous bizarre même. But the issue is how I'm going to monitor the use of that money that the government is giving me. After 6 months, what impact will it have? What can I do with it if I have amassed a small sum of money? No matter how small, it is still something. So what you are doing here, you're critically analyzing the results of the budget. Before the budget, we were all critically discussing it because we didn't know what to expect. So we were talking about peut-être pour dans ça, peut-être pas pour dans ça, I don't know. You understand? With your friends, with your colleagues, et puis tu dis, oh, dis là, qui te quoi là, il peut donner travail en plus là, comment ça pourrait impacter l'eau, pour arriver là, combien de travail en plus pour gagner, combien de casse en plus pour gagner. We were discussing it critically, and we were also saying, non, on ne pas croire pour faire ça, non, on ne pas croire gouvernement là pour faire ça, bien bon. Now that you have already done it, you're going to critically analyze it. Vous avez compris la différence? Right. Divina, to answer your question once again, critically discuss the importance of implementation of results. Je crois que j'ai déjà discuté là-dessus. What happens when I don't implement the results of an assessment? What does an assessment show me? There are things that are working well, things that are not working well, and things that need improvement. So what happens if I don't implement it? What are the consequences of not implementing, the results of the assessment? C'est tout ce que la question vous demande, les amis. Okay. Any other questions before I talk a little bit about the assignments that I have marked? Yes or no? Okay. Right. What I have noticed about the assignments is it was marked on 30. Okay. So those of you who have got 18 and above, it's good. Okay. Of course, 22 and 20 and above is good. 18 and above, it's good. Means you have grasped the essence of the question and you have managed to answer it. Now, those of you who've got below 18, there is a reason to be concerned here. Okay. Means you have answered only part of the question, or you have answered around the question in a very broad and general manner. Secondly, many of you have done research or have cut pasted from internet research. Now, like I say all the time, internet research is very good. You should read, but always read with a critical mind. Take only what is relevant. Sometimes the essay is also disjointed, means you have just cut and pasted different bits and pieces from the internet and the research you have done. And then when somebody else reads it, it makes no sense because it talks about everything except the subject, especially those of you who wanted to finish it off in a hurry. So what needs to be done here is when you're doing your research, when you're reading about it, which I always encourage people to do, you should read. Très bien, si vous ne connaissez pas un topic, si vous voulez apprendre plus sur le topic, by all means, read. But you have to be able to summarize it or put it in 1-2 lines in your own words. That's the only way you can ensure yourself that you have understood what is being written here, what is being written by somebody else. Okay? Don't just copy and paste from the internet. It's not going to work. Et puis si vous allez, if you're going to read all that before the exams, there's no ways you're going to memorize all that because you haven't made an extra effort to understand what the person is trying to say in what context. Okay? Proper referencing has not been done by many of you. Okay? You have, as I said, researched the topic, yes, but you have not put the proper references. So it's plagiarism. I can very well see how we write English and how other people write English. So when somebody else is reading it, it becomes a bit confusing. And sometimes, some of you, what you have done is you have just blindly copied from another source. And that's when you start going around a subject instead of tackling the subject itself. So for the exams, what you are going to do is you are going to look at the paper. You are going to see how much time you have to answer it. You are going to start reading your questions one by one, very carefully, by underlining all the keywords and by making a little plan, a little 2-3 bullet point schéma, comme on dit, plan, comme on dit, pour savoir comment vous allez répondre à cette question. And then you start tackling the paper and answering the questions, okay? Pas comment papier là, une demoiselle dégager, moi commence prendre première question, moi commence répondre ici, là-bas. Bien bon, moi bien écrit, après moi réaliser, aïe, moi il y a encore 2-3 questions qui m'ont pas trop compris. Read each and every question carefully and decide how you will answer them with the keywords underlined. Okay? If some of you have decided to read from other sources, if you remember the authors, the references, and the year in which the research was done, you can put that also. This applies mainly for definitions parfois. Si vous voulez définir quelque chose, vous avez vu une définition qui est très appropriée, c'est resté dans la tête, bien sûr, but of course, give the proper referencing, okay? And avoid, by all means, going around the subject. This you can avoid by reading the question properly. Go direct straight to the subject itself. Don't come and tell me everything that you know about assessment, intervention, monitoring, outcome, effectiveness, puis raconter, puis aller même Après, quand vous voulez le papier là, vous trouvez, ben, aucune question n'a été bien répondue. OK? Do you have any other questions? If you have any other questions, I will encourage each one of you to send me a WhatsApp message. I will answer, or a mail. Okay, if you have several questions. I am available till the 15th of June because I am going to be abroad for 2 weeks from 15th till the 3rd of July. You will have, your exams will be already over for this paper by then. So you have till the 15th of June to ask me everything that you want to ask me, okay? You send me a mail, I will answer. You send me a mail and I will answer it immediately. Okay? C'est bon? I might not be available on my mobile after the 15th because I will be abroad. So she sent me a mail before the 15th, so I will encourage you to just revise your papers. I will answer immediately on the mail. Okay? I just hope that whatever I have lectured on has been of some benefit to you. Okay? If you have any constructive criticism for the course, please, I would encourage you to share it with me because you're all professionals. You know how useful or maybe not so useful the course can be in your professional life. I will encourage you to share it with me. And of course, it is going to be on a one-to-one, and nobody will know about it if you don't want anyone to know. Okay? Thank you very much for your presence today and for all the lectures. It's normally the same people I see all the time, each and every week whenever there's lectures. And best of luck with your studies. For those of you I'm supervising dissertations for, okay, please, I send regular mails. I expect more seriousness from you. I know you have exams and everything coming up, but don't neglect your dissertations as well. Otherwise, it'll be too much right at the end to do again. And best of luck. C'est tout ce que j'ai à dire pour le moment. Good night. Bye bye.